everybody. We are back again for some football. This is
Yep.
Austin Sports Weekend. Thanks again for SevereTV.com for setting us up here. And thanks again for Autographs Plus for sponsoring us. Got a couple signed helmets again, a little Tua and a little Stephon Diggs over there. But we are going to talk about some NFL football. We have already finished. How many weeks?
Approximately 5.
We have finished 5 weeks of NFL football.
So we're trying to figure out what teams are.
This is one of the strangest years. You know, normally by game 4, you can really pick out who's good, who ain't, who's going to be so-so. But there's 2 or 3 teams right now that could win the Super Bowl or lose 10 games. And it's really been tough this year to figure out who's. But before we jump into week 6, picking out our winners and losers, let's recap week 5 here. Thursday night, we had the game everybody was waiting on. The Bears at the Commanders.
Bears get win number 1.
How about that? I mean, they looked
like a professional team.
They looked almost unstoppable, really, didn't they?
DJ Moore had a career day. 230 yards receiving.
The Commanders started off the year looking pretty good. Everybody was thinking, hey, you know, Washington looks like a...
and now it looks like possibly Ron Rivera might be on the hot seat.
They might have struggling a little bit there starting out. The quarterback's throwing a lot of picks. Of course, he's a young quarterback. Your young quarterbacks are going to throw a lot of picks. But, man, Justin Fields looked like a really good quarterback. I almost think that maybe the Bears went back
to last year
and said, hey, Justin, just you be you and go win us a game. Because he did that at the end of last year.
Yep.
He looked good. He won him some games. And then in the offseason, they tried to make himself something he wasn't. And they came out this year and looked bad. But, man, congrats to the Bears. They looked really good there. I'm anxious to see.
It's the first time in a while that they've won a game.
Yeah, well, they're
over like a year.
I think it was almost a year. Yeah. I'm curious to see, are the Bears really that good? Or was that just everything coming together and working at the right time? So we'll have to just wait and see there. Again, the Commanders, I guess they are what they are at this time. They're going to be one of those middle of the road teams that could win one week and lose the next week, and you're just not really sure about it. Jumping into Sunday, again, your team is the Panthers, my team is the Cowboys, so we'll jump into those 2 games first. The Panthers. The Lions are just really good.
I want to make a bold statement.
What's that?
My team is the worst team in the NFL.
Right now, they are 0-5. They are 0-5.
How does it feel like for me to be a fan of a team that hasn't won a freaking game?
If it was a team that was 0-16 last year, and then again this year you're 0-10, you could get a little heartbroken. But like we were talking about, I believe your team has some good foundation parts, has some pretty good coaching. Offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator is a big question. Well, the offensive line still cannot block because that's been an unfortunate theme. The receivers cannot get open, and Bryce Young is running for his life.
The receivers was one thing that I hadn't studied yet, and I studied it a little bit. And as a group, they're only averaging a 65.8 grade, and Thielen is actually grading the highest. And he's one of the oldest players on the team. So I think a combination of the offensive line struggling a little bit and the wide receivers not grading out.
That's why Bryce Young's been running around like he's kicking with his head cut off.
He's running around. He doesn't have anybody to throw to, and he doesn't have
the offensive line doesn't
that much
given any time.
Protect. But see, that's where you can be positive. Your team's probably going to end up 3-14. Something like that.
I've gotten used to a lot of losing, though, with the recent years without Cam Newton. So.
Yeah. But if you can go into the draft and maybe get a good offensive lineman, get a couple good offensive linemen, trade for a wide receiver, pick up a good wide receiver in the draft. There's normally loads of wide receivers in the draft around the 3rd and 4th rounds. So I would still be positive just because of the foundation set. Now, talking about the Lions, like we said,
they look like
a pretty good team.
A far and away runaway division leader.
Yeah, right now we picked them to win that division, and right now they are leading that division, and they look like they've got some pretty good juice. Now, jumping into my team, let's talk about the Cowboys at the 49ers.
The kind of ridiculous thing that you said to me just after the game ended is like, you told me personally that you would prefer to be 0-5.
I would rather
win.
I would rather be 0-5, knowing that I've got a good foundation of a team that's building, and within a couple of years we can make some noise in the playoffs, than to be stuck with a team that's 9-7, 10-7, 9-8 every single year. Every now and then you go 12-5 or 12-4, whatever, and you win one playoff game in 20 years. I would rather be 0-5 with the promise of a future than stuck in purgatory. As a Cowboy fan, we are stuck in purgatory.
Groundhog Day.
It is Groundhog.
I don't know. As long as Emperor Palpatine owns your franchise.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough. And again, I don't know if the problem is the coaches or the players or the owners. At this point, I'm not really sure. And I'm bashing them a little bit, but I don't want to bash them too much because the 49ers
are legitimately.
They may be the best team I have seen in the NFL since the peak Manning Brady years.
Wowie zowie, that's a lot of positive claims.
Name a weak spot on their team.
Well, let's look at their position group. They got defense. We got Nick Bosa being the defensive player of the year last year.
And they got the number 2 ranked defense in the NFC, probably the number 1 ranked defense in the NFC.
They have the number 1 scoring defense at 13 points a game.
Number 1 scoring defense.
Second ranked scoring offense with 33 points per game.
Got 2 or 3 good wide receivers, one of the best tight ends in the game, maybe the NFL MVP running back in the game.
Christian McCaffrey's having a whale of a year.
And you got a quarterback that has come in and has not lost a start that he has finished.
Outside of, especially as he's finished, because we remember his elbow got cut off.
Hacked.
In that Eagles game.
Every game that he has started and finished, he has won.
Yep. He's done an excellent job, really, at being the, some people call him a game manager. He's playing better than a game manager.
I don't think with that much talent, you don't have to be a game manager. I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns to Kittle. First time Kittle's ever caught 3 touchdowns.
Which is shocking because of how talented.
Somebody threw 3 touchdowns to him. So, I mean, you have to be a pretty good quarterback to do that. So, I'm just saying that the 49ers are one of the most complete teams I've seen in a long time. I think the only thing that could derail them
is injuries.
Really, I mean, that's really just about it. I don't see them. At the beginning of the year, we picked them to go to the Super Bowl,
and it looks like my pick is gonna hold pretty strong.
It's gonna be pretty good. Now, let's talk about our surprise game of the weekend. Really, not too much of a surprise. The Jaguars Bills. It's supposed to be at the Bills, but it wasn't at the Bills. It was at
in London. That's the Jaguars home away from home, and the Jaguars played like it.
The Jaguars had been there for 2 weeks, and I was actually listening to some of their some of their players talking, and they said they did not have any jet lag. They were already ready. They were ready to play. They felt normal.
The Bills, on the other hand.
And the Bills came in with a little jet lag, and it looked that way. Now, again, we don't want to put too much on that either because the Jaguars looked pretty good. And they looked really good last year, and we were waiting for them to turn it on.
Beating the Bills will definitely help them in the long run if they keep winning.
But, they were they were 1-2 going into London.
And now they've won 2 straight.
And now they're 3-2. So, all of those rumors about the Jaguars moving to London.
Just keep winning in America, folks.
Yeah.
You've done your job out overseas.
Yeah, now Jaguars got to come home and win on native soil. So let's see what they can do. The Bills, I really worry about the Bills, to be honest.
Consistency.
The consistency. 1 week they're beating the Dolphins, and the next week they're losing to the Jaguars. I worry a little bit about the consistency of them. They've got enough talent to win the Super Bowl, but I just don't know.
Losing Matt Milano does hurt.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's hard to even pick a front runner in the AFC because of all of these problems. Do you pick the Bills? Do you pick the Chiefs? Do you pick the Dolphins?
I don't really know.
Who do you pick?
There's a definitive favorite in the NFC, but you can't pick a favorite in the AFC.
Right now, you can say the NFC Championship game is going to be the 49ers versus the Eagles. I mean, right now that looks about what it could be, what it should be. But in the AFC, it's still really up in the air. But that bodes well for a bunch of teams. You could be 3-2 right now and just finding your way into your season, and you could win it all. You just got to gel and win at the right time. We had the Titans at the Colts, and the Colts signed their running back just in time to beat the Titans.
Yeah, that's just fantastic.
And that was honestly a win for running backs.
Everywhere.
But
do you know who also didn't get the win once again? Our old buddy Ryan Tannehill, throwing a game-ending interception.
Yeah, again, Tannehill.
He's not going to be the guy that leads you to.
No, he's a really good quarterback, but he's not. I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Not unless there's so much defense and running game around him that they carry the load. Sort of like the Baltimore did, back when they had Trent Dilfer.
And Joe
Flacco. Those were not Super Bowl screaming, Hall of Fame MVP quarterbacks.
Those two weren't really MVP caliber.
No, but their defense and their running was spectacular. That's the type of team that Tannehill needs. And they had it a couple of years ago. Their defense was fantastic. Derrick Henry was running all over everybody, and then they lost in the championship game. But they're on their way down now. So that peaked, and it's on the way back down. The Colts.
Anthony Richardson's injury history is starting to pile up.
I don't know. It was the shoulder.
AC joint.
He got the AC joint. So he's
That's
banged
a second
up.
injury in the season.
I worry about the athletic quarterbacks because a lot of them think they're Superman, and when you get into the NFL, a lot of those defensive players are kryptonite.
Yep.
They could chase you down, catch you, and take you down on the ground pretty hard. So I worry about those quarterbacks. He's got all the talent in the world, but we'll just see if he can stay out of injury enough.
This next game is disgusting to me. The Saints and the Patriots. This offense for New England is horrible.
Yeah,
they can't move the ball.
What'd you say that they were average scoring?
11 points a game.
Man.
That is dead last in the NFL. That's below Matt Canada's Pittsburgh Steelers offense, which is bad to say the least. He's below Josh McDaniels' offense.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Last year they had a defensive coordinator as their offensive coordinator,
and they're
scored more than
better than they had
this year.
Do you know what the common component of this is?
Oh yeah, we were actually discussing this. There's been a coach that went into the Texans, took over the Texans. That was a Super Bowl candidate team. And
tore it down.
And within a few years, completely destroyed that team. And then that same coach went to Alabama as the offensive coordinator.
Couldn't win a natty with Bryce Young.
And gave Alabama one of their worst years that they've had in quite some time. And now he has went up as the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. And they lost 34-0 against a mediocre Saints game.
The ugliest offensive numbers you'll see.
We are talking about who?
Bill O'Brien.
I think Bill O'Brien.
Some people call him the butt chin because his chin looks like
clifty. Yeah, I think there might be a little bit something wrong with his coaching is what I might think. It seems like wherever he goes, struggles follow.
And drama.
And
needless drama.
Yeah, so I'm questioning Bill O'Brien's tenure there, and sadly to say, it may take Mr. Jones with him.
Mac Jones might go out with him.
Jones might go out with him. What I don't think it's Mac Jones's fault.
Bill Belichick might go out with him. I don't know.
Bill Belichick may retire. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think Belichick stays around for a while. But anyways, the Saints looked pretty good. And now, who is the all-time touchdown leader for the Saints?
Alvin Kamara gets the all-time record.
All-time record touchdown leader
in a blowout.
In a blowout, 34-0. Jump on down to the Ravens Steelers. This one was an odd one too. The Ravens should have won the game.
They should have.
They only scored what?
10 points.
How can you just score 10 points?
Now, I have a solution.
The Steelers do have a good defense.
I have a solution for that problem.
What's that?
For those who have been in, for all of those people out there, God bless you, that has graduated elementary school, I'd like to help you with counting all the way from 1 to the number that I'm about to point out.
What's that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are the amount of drops Ravens receivers had against the Steelers.
Oh, 9 drops? That's a season's worth. And yet they had that many in a game?
That's why they lost. Lamar's receivers could not catch a cold.
I don't know, man. Yeah, he needs some help, doesn't he?
They got help. They were supposed to have Odell Beckham. They were supposed to get Zay Flowers out of Boston College. That was supposed to be the added bonus.
But they also went to trying to be more of a passing team instead of a running team this year. Why do they keep trying to make players who they're not?
I have no clue. And Pittsburgh, being Pittsburgh, they're an odd team under Mike Tomlin. You can always count on them for.
They lead their division now.
They lead the division with a 3-2 record,
with the third worst offense
in the National Football League,
in the NFL.
And let me tell you one thing: the clip about Matt Canada in the coach's booth. When Kenny Pickett called the audible, I believe he called it audible because his play call was bad.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett called it audible.
He called an audible and threw a touchdown pass to George Pickens because he saw man coverage on his side of the field. And Matt Canada's facial expression was basically the facial expression of a librarian.
Yeah. They threw the touchdown, and everybody around him was like, whoa! And Canada was just staring at him like, he changed my play. That was funny. So the Steelers, again, I think their quarterback is fantastic. I've always loved him.
The offensive coordinator is
We've already
suspect. Said that enough.
And as far as the Ravens go, why would you give a quarterback a huge contract? You think he's good enough for a huge contract, but then you want to change him in the offseason. Why did you give him the huge contract if you think he needed to be changed?
I got 2 words and one individual. John Harbaugh.
I don't know,
That's
man.
the main reason.
I don't know. But we hope that they get it straightened out. We had the Texans at the Falcons. The Texans run had to stop somewhere. And it stopped with Bijan
Robinson. And the Falcon offense, they have Desmond Ridder had his best game as a pro quarterback coming out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Threw for 300 yards.
Again, I think the Falcons are sort of like the Commanders. They could go into a week and win a game, or they can go into a week and lose a game.
All depends on how the quarterback play goes. They got a good running back stable. Yeah,
they're going to be up and down. I think the Falcons are going to be up and down. The Patriots are going to be mainly down. The Colts are going to be up and down. Titans are going to be up and down. The Commanders are going to be up and down. Those are just a bunch of in the middle. You know, they could have a fantastic game one week and beat somebody, and then they could lose a game they're favored by 5 the next week. So it's the Falcons are just one of those teams. They're not a bad. They don't have a bad record though. What, they're 3-2.
3-2, and they're atop the division with the Saints and the Bucks. I think.
Yeah, the Bucks. I think the Bucks are leading the division right now because they had a bye, and they're 3-1. Where the Saints and the Falcons are 3-2. Jumping to the next game, we had the Giants at the Dolphins. The Dolphins continue to win games. They only scored 31 this time, not 70.
That you don't need all those points when you're facing this woeful Giants football team.
No, the Giants team is driving the struggle bus a little bit too. The offensive coordinator
is a problem.
Is a problem. I think the offensive coordinator on them, and Barkley being injured is not helping anything.
And Daniel Jones playing poorly, and then unfortunately having a neck injury.
Again, he got a neck injury too, so that's going to hurt the Giants more. So
Brian Dable's going to have to figure something out over there.
Yeah, last year they had Barkley healthy, they had Jones healthy, they had everybody healthy, and they had the machine running a little bit. Well, now they've got a couple of injuries. They brought in the best wide receiver out of college last year, and they're not playing him. That's another strange one.
And Jalen Hyatt had 4 catches for 99 yards for the entire season. We're through 5 games.
One game he had 89 yards in. The rest of them he's got 10.
That's just bad game planning. That's bad scheming on somebody's part.
I don't know. Why would you waste that high of a pick and then not even put him on the field? I don't know. Again, I question the offensive coordinator. I think they're struggling a little bit there on their offense.
And when the New York media, it's starting to turn on Brian Dable and the team. And when that media from New York turns on you, it's like a pool of piranhas.
But again, I think Brian Dable is a fantastic coach. I think he's got a good mind, but I think he's struggling.
The coaches are
with the staff maybe a little bit. Our next game, this is the team that I think, if they get hot, could run away with the AFC.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
The Cincinnati
finally
Bengals.
showed life.
Joe Burrow said that is the healthiest he had felt the entire year was the few days leading up to this game. And they got into that game, and he rolled out. He ran. He put pressure on it.
He threw the ball.
He threw the ball. He threw a Cincinnati Bengal record catches in a game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, think of all the great wide receivers they had. Well, Pickens was, I think, had it before. Didn't Pickens have 13? I think.
I believe AJ Green was one of those guys.
AJ Green, Pickens, and now it is Jamar Chase.
Ochocinco and all
Ochocinco, and now Jamar Chase is up on top of it. I think if the Bengals get healthy, that they will definitely be in the mix towards the end of the season for the AFC. Again, I don't want to crown them kings yet. They were my pick to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC, but I'm still not going to put them there yet until I make sure that you can stay healthy, because sometimes you have injuries and then you get re-injured and then you go right back down again. But
for the Cardinals, let's turn the page. This was a total team failure.
They lost on every side of the ball in this one.
Joshua Dobbs had a good start, and then he struggled to read the defense. He had
a couple picks, and then the defense gave up 34 points. Yeah, it was a struggle all the way around.
Definitely not Dobbs' best performance, but I feel like he can improve from this.
Yeah, he definitely can. We had the Eagles at the Rams. I thought the Rams had this at one point, but then they sort of ran out of gas.
Their offensive line definitely didn't really give Stafford much time.
No. But what, Puka?
Puka Nacua continues his catch streak.
He does continue his catch streak. And the Eagles continue as the only...
Well, the second 5-0 team in the AFC.
The second, and we have 0 in the AFC.
Yeah, that's just brilliant.
Yeah. We had the Jets at the Broncos.
One person you have to feel good for after this game is one Nathaniel Hackett.
Yep.
He came back to a city and a town that despised him from his time last year.
Yep.
And he came in there with a good game plan. And he cooked Denver's woefully bad defense up like a steak.
Denver... I don't know what the stats are. I should have looked up. They have to be the worst defense in the NFL.
They're giving up over 36 points a game, and that's dead last.
That's what I thought. 36 points. How can you are never going to win They may be 0-17. They may be the first 0-17.
No, they actually won a game.
Oh,
which is just.
Oh, I forgot. They look like a 0 for team. Well, they may be 1-16. How about that?
I think one person that is definitely eating his words is Sean Payton.
Yeah, he called Hackett the worst coaching job he had ever seen or whatever.
And Hackett comes in there as offensive coordinator of the Jets and outcoaches him.
Yeah, puts up 31 on him.
And Hackett's offense had over 400-plus yards on the Broncos' defense.
The Broncos' defense is terrible. I don't know what happened to their defense. Sean Payton defense should not be
that atrocious.
Again, it's his first year at the Broncos. I'm not going to say he's washed up or wiped out because he is a Super Bowl winning coach.
But if you want to run your mouth,
you better back it up. Yeah. Lastly, we had the Chiefs at the Vikings. This was a
bit of a struggle.
Bit of a struggle bus too.
Matt Nagy's offense, I've had a little bit of questions with because I haven't trusted him since his time at the Bears as their head coach. So
no.
They haven't had that same consistency, like drive after drive after drive.
No. And the Vikings are definitely struggling this year.
They're losing another one-score loss.
Yeah. And
I thought wasn't the lesson not to lose more? I can't put my words together.
The one-score games?
The one-score games. The lesson wasn't to not win by 3 points. The lesson was definitely not to lose every one-score game.
Yeah, last year they won 11 one-score games. This year I think they've lost 5 one-score games. And
or 4 one-score games.
The bad thing is what?
Justin Jefferson, the super stud.
He's one of my favorite wide receivers that's in the game. And now he is on the IR.
Hammy.
I know
that sucks to deal with.
Yeah. So he is out. What if you go on IR? What are you out? 4 games, 5 games?
4 games minimum.
4-game minimum. So they're going to play the next 4 games without Mr. Jefferson. So the Vikings may continue to struggle. And then on Monday Night Football, we definitely had some struggling teams here. We had the Packers at the Raiders.
And Jordan Love's performance definitely left much to be desired.
Again, the Packers sort of started out the season like the Commanders. You were like, hey, they might not be that bad this year.
And then
after you get 5 games in, you're like, well, yeah, they probably will be that bad this year.
But
they have driven the struggle.
Whose fault do you think it is? More of Jordan Love's fault that they lost, or Matt LaFleur not calling the right plays?
I know it's a little bit of combination of everything, but he threw 3 picks.
And the last 2 were just really, really bad.
Really bad ones, yeah. Now, your favorite coach almost gave the game away, though.
Oh, Josh McDaniels, please. That guy made a bonehead coaching decision once again.
And
with the 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I could write a Harry Potter novel about how bad Josh McDaniels is. But with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they were up by 4. At 4th and 1, he decides to go for a 52-yard field goal instead of going for it with 1 yard to go. If you get that 1 yard,
game's over.
The game's over. You drain the clock.
You missed a 52-yard field goal, and it took a interception to win the game.
They shouldn't have been in that position.
The defense had to save the game for you. So I don't know. Raiders and the Packers again are probably. We have a lot of teams that are sort of
up and down,
right in the middle. All right, that is Week 5. Let's jump into our Week 6 picks. First of all, this Thursday night we have the Broncos at the Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes is the absolute worst quarterback to face if you are a terrible defense.
Yeah, if they average giving up 36 points a game, how many are they going to give up to the Chiefs?
That's going to be probably the slaughter of the century.
The line is 10.5 points, and I'm apt to take it.
I mean, the Broncos defense were giving up historically bad numbers.
Yeah.
That Dolphin game is going to be remembered for all the wrong reasons.
It's going to remember for all the wrong. Now, the Chiefs may put up 50 on them.
And then let up.
And I don't think the Broncos are going to score 40, so Kansas City minus 10.5. All right, let's jump into your team. This may be a bad weekend for you two. You got your Panthers at the Dolphins.
When I had hope, it was taken away from me.
Yeah, the Panthers are struggling a little bit.
The best offense in the NFL.
Yeah. With
a team that is basically redone from scratch.
Yeah.
I just hope we don't lose by 20.
The line's 13.5. Do you think we'll lose by 13.5?
With how bad we've played and how well Miami, I'm going to pick that line.
You're going to go ahead and take that one? All right, let's jump into, we got the Ravens at the Titans. This is the International Series this week. So it's not a home game for the Titans. Baltimore is favored by 4.
I'm going to pick Tennessee because I don't trust the Raven receivers.
I don't trust the Raven receivers either.
9 drops by a receiving core that you paid well over $50 million to.
Yeah, and again, I think the running game travels better. So Derrick Henry doesn't have to worry about timing when it comes to running.
Hopefully, Tannehill can throw more accurately. He's had.
I'm not holding my. I'm gonna lean on Henry and not Tannehill.
And that's what lost them the game against the Colts. They leaned too much on Tannehill, and that's exactly what happened.
There you go. We got the Commanders at the Falcons.
Give me those dirty birds.
I probably have to take the Falcons.
That
in this
was one of their slogans during that era. With I think it was just before Michael Vick came around.
The dirty bird. That was a dance they did. Yeah. I got to take the Falcons too. It's minus 2.5. I got to take the Falcons. Got the Seahawks at the Bengals.
That is a huge game.
This is a huge game, not only for Seattle but for Cincinnati.
I think it's more important for Cincinnati.
Yeah, they can't go 2-4 and fall 2 games out of first place in their division because I think
they got to play catch up to the Steelers.
They got to play catch up to the Steelers and the Ravens.
You how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is. I know this has nothing to do with either team, but that just shows you. Even with the worst offense in the league, he can still win football games because he's Mike Tomlin.
Because he's Mike Tomlin, yeah. How many losing seasons has he had as a coach?
0, and he's been coaching for over 15 years.
So he has never went under 500 Yeah,
that is
at the
impressive.
end of the season. Yeah,
on any level, that is impressive.
The Bengals are favored by 3, and honestly, after last week's performance, them scoring that many points, I am going Bengals -3.
You want to go with the Bengals? I think that's a good pick.
Again, I think they're on the way up. I will be really, really curious to see them play somebody a little bit of a step up. The Seahawks are. Don't get me wrong. The Seahawks are good, but I'm really curious to see how the Bengals get rolling here. We got the Colts at the Jaguars.
I feel like I'm feeling me some Jacksonville here.
Yeah, I know Richardson's injured, and I don't know if the backup's going to come in.
Jacksonville has slightly more talent, so I'm going to pick the Jags.
Plus, they're on a 2-game win streak, even though it was over in London. They're still on the 2-game win streak. They still were looking good over there, so we'll take the Jags minus a little 4.5. Got the Vikings at the Bears.
I would have never
Somebody has to win this, and somebody has to lose this.
I would have never said this at the very beginning of the year, but I might go with Chicago here.
I might too. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I might go with Chicago. They've got more health.
Jefferson's out. That's a big blow for the Vikings.
Has been up and down. Like usually, he's been like that through his whole career.
But without any Dalvin Cook no longer on the team and Justin Jefferson on the IR.
That's going to really hurt the Viking performance.
And after the Bears clicked and scored 40 last week.
I feel like the Bears got this one here.
The momentum is leading to the Bears. You got the Bears plus 2.5. You got the 49ers at the Browns.
I am so sorry, Tiffany, my sister. I am so sorry.
Yeah, the 49ers.
They're going to win this game.
I think it is at the Browns, but still. This is minus 5.5. I got the 49ers all over that. Saints, Texans. This is an interesting game.
We got Derek Carr on one side, who's had a good performance so far throughout the year, and one C.J. Stroud on the other.
C.J. Stroud.
Still no interceptions so
No
far.
interceptions.
7 touchdowns and over 1,400 yards passing.
The Texans are at home.
Do you want to pick Houston, or I might pick New Orleans because of the talent?
I probably got New Orleans too because Kamara came back in his second game.
Added a new dimension to the Saints.
34 points.
Like they always do.
Yeah, so I probably got the Saints minus 1.5 too. Patriots at the Raiders.
If Josh McDaniels loses to Bill O'Brien's offense, I swear, there won't be any coming back from a loss like that. But
I probably got to take the Raiders.
But the Raiders have much better talent. And I feel like the talent will overcome some of Josh McDaniels' coaching mistakes.
You got Devontae Adams. You
got Devontae Adams. You got Josh Jacobs. But you got Jimmy Garoppolo, even though people crap on him for his interceptions. But
I think Garoppolo is a good game manager. I think he's a game manager. I think he's like one step above a game manager. He's got good talent, too. But he can manage a game good enough to win it. And I think that the Raiders probably do this week.
Yeah, I think the Raiders got a better performance out of the team.
This is one of the games that I'm really, really, really interested in watching. Lions 4-1 at the 3-1 Bucks.
That's going to be one of the big tail games for the Buccaneers, honestly, more so than the Lions.
Yeah, we know the Lions are good. They're 4-1, and honestly, they should be 5-0. They shouldn't have lost the game they did.
But
can the Bucks hold on to first place in the NFC South?
That would ultimately depend on the arm of one Baker Mayfield.
Yep. The Lions are favored by 3. Honestly, I got to lean on the Lions because I think they are a better team. But I would not be surprised if the Bucks turn up and win this one. But I gotta lean on the Lions right now. We got the Cardinals at the Rams.
Dobbs should have an easier time throwing against the Rams, but
they still have Aaron Donald,
and they still have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
more so this time around, but the Cardinals just don't have enough talent to match up.
Rams are favored by 7. Do you think they beat the Cardinals by 7?
Maybe. I might pick that.
That one's about 50-50 with me. We got the Eagles at the Jets. The Eagles should win this one.
They should.
Yeah, there shouldn't be much of a problem.
If the Jets want to have a chance to win this game, they're going to have their defense step up and have Zach Wilson throw accurate footballs.
The only thing that is the Eagles' offense is looking fantastic this year, but the Eagles' defense is not looking up to par. But you want to know how many NFL teams have lost the Super Bowl, which they did last year, and have come back and started out 5-0.
How many?
1, the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
That's incredible. That's a testament to Nick Sirianni and company.
Yeah, so they are the only team to lose the Super Bowl and come out the next year and go 5-0. So they're 5-0 that nobody has ever done before. Coming off of that, normally you have a letdown whenever you lose a Super Bowl. You know, you're deflated. Sometimes teams go away and never come back, like the Falcons. Once you lose one, it's hard to come back. But that just shows you the Eagles are talented. They've come back. They're 5-0. I think they take care of the Jets, honestly, pretty easy. But their defense will let some points go by. We got the Giants at the Bills.
This should be a trampling, if you know what I mean.
This is the biggest one of the week. We got 14 points.
Do you pick Buffalo by that much?
Gosh, yeah. I think they try to bounce back.
Yeah, they
I
should.
think they
definitely.
do, yeah.
It's at Buffalo, too. So with that wild fan base they got,
yeah.
Bills Mafia is one of the most passionate fans.
I know, but the Bills are sort of. I got a little soft spot for the Bills. I feel sorry that the Cowboys beat them 2 years in a row. So I've got a little soft spot, yeah. And I rooted for the Bills whenever it was against Washington and the Giants because they're in the same division as the Cowboys.
That's just a very unfortunate history for Buffalo when it comes to those.
So I've got a little soft spot for Buffalo. I wouldn't care if Buffalo went to Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, and got
I remember
that
when
off
they
them,
went
you know.
18 years without a single playoff berth, and now they've made the playoffs every year outside of one.
The only bad thing is I think the Bills' time is. They're at the peak of it right now. If they don't do something soon, they're going to start going down the other side of it. But I've got the Bills doing this right here. And then my poor Dallas team is at the Chargers.
They should beat the Chargers.
Dallas is favored by 2.
Brandon Staley coming off a bye week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that you have going for you this week is Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
Will he pull a Brandon Staley and do something?
The Cowboys' old offensive coordinator is the offensive coordinator
of the Chargers.
So this is going to be. Let's see. Do the Cowboys get up to beat their old offensive coordinator, or does their old offensive coordinator pull all the tricks out of the book to beat his old team? This is going to be interesting. Dallas is favored by 2. I got to take Dallas by 2. They've got more talent. I hope. If Dallas loses this game and goes 3-3, then we are right back down to 9-8 and swimming in the mediocre fishbowl yet again.
Oh, Emperor Palpatine.
Emperor Palpatine. That is the NFL for weeks 5 and 6. We hope you had a little fun with us. Thanks again for SevereTV.com for setting us up in their studio here. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for throwing us a couple autographed helmets here. They got 2 locations, one in Sevierville, one in Pigeon Forge. So thanks again for that. Other than it, be sure and check us out next week for more NFL football.
See you next week.